What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. It is time for Serie A Week 34 predictions. It is heating up with the title race between Inter Milan and Napoli. You'd argue it is a two-horse race at this point, and it's all to play for in the relegation zone with Empoli, Venezia, Lecce, and Parma fighting for survival. Perhaps you could drag Cagliari in there as well. And then, of course, the race for Champions League European football. Everything to play for in Serie A. One of the best leagues around, and I can't wait to get started with the predictions. Real quick, flashing up on the screen are all of the people that are supporting me over on the Patreon, patreon.com/thefull90. You get exclusive members tips and accumulators over there. You can message me your picks and ask for my opinion. Like I said just there, you can direct message me, which you can't do here on YouTube. You've got access to the group chats. You get shout outs in every single video. So if you want to be a part of that, then be sure to click that top link in the description to get involved. But let's delay no further and get started with Atalanta up against Lecce. Atalanta, you could argue, all but considered Champions League football next season with these two wins here against two very good teams. Bologna just beating Inter Milan and, of course, beating AC Milan as well. I think they beat Lecce here. I'm going to say 3-0. I thought about Atalanta -1 handicap, but I'm actually going to tip Ademola Lookman to score at 2.1. That's, of course, if he starts. If he doesn't, you'll get your money back, so it's fine. But if he doesn't start and then gets subbed on and scores, you still win. But if he doesn't start, gets subbed on and doesn't score, you get your money back. So that's a win as far as I'm concerned. I'm pretty sure that's how it works anyway. So 3-0, Lecce, they're not going to win this one. They need to focus on other game weeks and just hope that Venezia and Empoli don't pick up any points. After this, it is Como up against Genoa. And this game is not on my list. So the last 3 times these teams have met, it has been a score draw. 2 1-1s and a 2-2. But I think Como are going to buck the trend. They're both on 39 points. They've drawn 3 times. It makes sense to go for a draw, but I'm actually going to go for a 2-1 Como win. These odds are slightly too inflated at the moment. The odds right now are 1.83 for Como to win, but I'm going to tip it. Como to win at 1.83. If you think it could be a draw, you could either back the draw or maybe go both teams to score. However, I just think Como are on a really good run, good momentum. They're at home. I'm going to say that they get the win 2-1. After this, Fiorentina up against Empoli. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think Empoli are not very good. They're getting points here and there with some draws, but I think Fiorentina just get a 1-0 win. The tip is going to be Fiorentina to win and under 3.5 goals at 2.15. Bolsters the odds nicely because I don't see a 4-0 or a 3-1 to Fiorentina. I mean, this 2-2 was quite unexpected. It was 0-0 after about the hour mark, I think, and then Empoli, Venezia, they went nuts and they got goals, but neither team wanted to draw that. As you can see, they're both down here. They really wanted a win, but it couldn't be done. I think Fiorentina get the win here. After this, Verona up against Cagliari. I'm going to say that this will be a stalemate, 1-1 draw. Lots of draws for Verona in their last 4 games, 4 of which right here, and I think they could get another one, to be honest. I don't see them winning. Cagliari, they're outsiders, but I think they can snatch a point here. They are having a pretty rough season. I mean, they've got the game in hand here, so if they were to win, they'd go ahead of Verona still with a game in hand, but I think a draw looks likely. The tip, however, is going to be both teams to score at 2.05. After this, we have Inter Milan up against Roma. Inter losing to Bologna very, very late on. I think they need to bounce back here, and even though Roma are undefeated in their last 7, I think Inter Milan just about do it, and I'm going to say that it'll be a 2-1 win, but instead of Inter Milan to win at 1.7, I'm going to say Inter Milan and both teams to score at 3.75. We had Inter Milan and both teams to score when they beat Cagliari here, and I quite like the odds for it. I think Roma, definitely in the form they're in as well, are good for a goal. They're chasing European, perhaps Champions League spots. Bologna with a brilliant win there to put them in 4th place at the moment, but I think Juventus win their game in hand, which would put them above them. So a lot to play for. However, I think Inter Milan are going to keep the pace with Napoli in this title race and win 2-1. After this, it is Juventus up against Monza. Juventus are going to win this one quite comfortably. Monza are down and out. I'm going to say 3-0. My tip is Juventus win to 0 at 1.72. Will that happen? I mean, you'd expect so. I think Juventus at the time of recording play Parma tonight. I could actually see Juventus and both teams to score in that game. But I think for the likes of Monza, who've won twice all season, they've got 1 point in the last 7, that draw with Parma. I think Juventus win 3-0 here. Their previous result, 2-1 against Lecce, 1-1 with Roma, 1-0 against Genoa. I think win to 0 here looks pretty good at 1.72. Following that, Lazio up against Parma. Parma drawing the last 5. They absolutely could draw this again, but I'm going to buck the trend and say Lazio to win 2-1. And just because I think both teams to score always looks like it's going to happen in Parma games, I'm going to say instead of Lazio to win at 1.54, Lazio and both teams to score at 3.4. Following that, it is Napoli up against Torino. Napoli winning in another low-scoring game against Monza, 1-0. They would beat Empoli to 0 as well. We tipped Napoli win to 0 there. I'm going to say that Napoli win this one against Torino 2-0. And the tip is going to be Napoli to win and under 3.5 goals at 1.95. That allows for a 2-1 rather than doing Napoli win to 0, which allows for a 4-5-0. I think it's more likely we see a low-scoring game, but it keeps the 2-1 onside in case Torino do get a goal and are able to contribute to the scoreline. After this, we have Udinese up against Bologna. It's hard not to pick Bologna to win. Udinese have lost 4 in a row. They don't really have anything to play for. They're safe from relegation. They're not going to get a European spot, so they really are on the beach at this point. So I think Bologna get another win, 1-0, and the tip is going to be Bologna to win at 1.9. The final game to predict here, we have Venezia up against AC Milan. AC Milan are going to win this one. Venezia are not very good, even though they're fighting for their lives. They're picking up points here and there, losing 1 of their last 7. I just think AC Milan are too high above them in terms of levels. So I'm going to say 2-0, and I like the odds of AC Milan to win at 1.66. So that is what I'm going with. Here are my picks for Serie A stark contrast to the likes of the Bundesliga, where I had all teams but Bochum scoring in the game week. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clean sheets this week in Serie A, which is quite typical of the Italian league versus the German league to have less teams scoring. But I do just think that is the trend that we will see this week. The likes of Bologna, AC Milan just getting the job done, and the likes of Juventus, Atalanta, and Napoli being too good for the opponents and at home as well. I think that lends itself to a lot of 1-0 results. So that is going to do it for my Serie A predictions. If you did enjoy it, please do drop a like, subscribe down below so you don't miss any football videos. Leave your predictions down in the comments, and I will see you in the next video very soon.